Here's a story in the news that DoorDash is now adding a BNPL add-in, which is buy now, pay later. So
they're trying to take advantage of poor people.
You can now finance your fast food. Thoughts,
Dave
ladies?
Ramsey,
No.
I think reacted to this directly.
First
They
of all,
are preying on poor people. That's what a lot of these credit lines are targeted
Yeah, why
as.
not payday loans for
When
DoorDash?
Right.
when I worked at Best Buy, no joke, I'm for real. My manager told me when you go out and ask people for credit cards, look for white trash and black people. Like that's actually what they told me. Because they're the easiest. It doesn't matter.
We
if
should have
they
been
don't
looking
get
for
approved.
redheads too.
I know I should have.
Yeah.
But it was like, I couldn't believe they said that. But yeah, that's who mostly would apply for credit cards.
Confirm. Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't necessarily like a black person thing. It was like I was in the city at Madison. And so if you're like from the city, you were a good quality candidate. If you came in like a Lexus or you look like you were from the suburbs, they didn't they weren't quite on the nose with me, but they were basically like,
they were with me.
If they smell, ask them to buy a credit card. You know,
right? They were
if they smell like weed or they smell like they haven't showered, buy them get them to get a credit card.
Targeting the poor people. That is exactly what they were doing.
See, I disagree with you, Mel, that this is targeting poor people because you got to be rich to use DoorDash. Like it is so expensive.
But if you get a credit, then
let me tell you who it's targeting.
They still gotcha. Yeah, and then especially if they charge interest on that, then it's like, okay, well, I mean. And that's the thing, and a lot of people aren't going to like to hear this, but a lot of poverty is a mindset. Obviously, there's some people who are legitimately stuck in a bad situation, but for the most part, it is a mindset. If you took like a rich person, all their money away and put them like on the street, and you took a poor portion, the rich person would get their way out. And a lot of times, the poverty person, there is a mindset to it.
Here's who this is really targeting.
Go ahead.
I'm going to scoop Hannah Claire before she can sound smart. This is targeting young people.
Yeah.
Who make bad financial decisions.
Right.
I'm stealing my points.
Yeah. This is targeting people like me who would sign up for every credit card imaginable at the basketball game to get a free t-shirt. That's who this is. And it is disgusting. Like it's young people of all colors. And I mean, poor people... I think poor people will take advantage of it because a lot of times when you're struggling, it's so bad, like you don't even care. You're like, I'll take this out on finance and I'll whatever.
A lot of poor people are not saving what they are making. Like, let's just be real. They're using their money on luxury items, whether it's like going out to eat instead of buying affordable stuff to cook at home, or they are still getting their latest iPhone a lot of times, or they're still, and I know people don't like to hear it. And again, there's some people who legitimately are in a bad situation, but a lot of poor people are, and I've seen this with extended family members and stuff, and people that you try to help them, but they're not responsible with what they have. And so they are stuck because they keep spending their money on things that they don't need. And when they could have saved so much and gotten themselves out of a bad situation.
I think we are in a storm of a lot of things that are cultivating financially irresponsible Americans. And it's like, I think the youngest generation is the most vulnerable, but it's been going on for a long time. So you'll see it in all kinds of ages. It's what you're touching on, a consumerism that especially is promoted by social media, that you need the newest, best, biggest thing all the time. But it's also just generally like a culture that doesn't really understand how personal finances work. And I don't think anybody can say that there probably are some people, but I'm sure generally a lot of people are always trying to figure out how to better save, how to better prepare for retirement, you know, what's the best way to use credit cards or whatever. But generally we live in a culture that relies on credit card debt to bridge the gap between the lifestyle you can afford and the lifestyle you want to live. And so in this case, like, this is saying like, oh, well, don't worry about how you pay for DoorDash now. Like, just order the meal and you can figure it out later. And you don't feel that immediate hit of having to pay the whatever $80 fee right away. Right? It's just $20. It's just $15 or whatever. Ultimately, you're accumulating debt, and same with the generation that was raised with student loan debt. That's like, well, I'm already in debt, so what's another couple $100? You know, like we are numbing ourselves to the reality of these things.
I've been there. I mean, when I was young, I've done all the bad things.
Yeah.
Like open a checking account at this credit place, and we'll give you $100. I did that, and then I overdrew the account. Like all this kind of stuff, which was why when I got married, I had a sub 500 credit score, and it was like they're like, "How many credit cards have you applied for?" I don't know, 300. You know, like I got all these free T-shirts. You know, they would go to the Bucks games and the Brewer games, and like. I'd be, you know,
and you
18,
probably didn't
19.
even realize how it was impacting your credit.
I didn't even know credit score was a thing. Nobody knew what that was.
See, my dad and mom both, like me and my brothers, they said, if you get a credit card, pay it off every month. Do not, like, you want to build it. They stress so much, all of that stuff. Yeah.
But if your parents didn't know and didn't pass that down to you, like
exactly. So then, that would be tough.
And it's all like delayed. It's instant gratification with delayed consequences. I'm not saying credit cards. And you know, like again, I refer Dave Ramsey, like this post about the Klarna DoorDash deal came up, and I think Dave Ramsey himself's a financial guy who's always like famous for being like, nobody have any debt or
it's going to be a catastrophe or something.
I think I'll have to find it. I think he was like, "Are you? Excuse me? Are you kidding me?" But like.
Here, this one. Yeah, this post is great.
Yes.
What do you mean you have 11 grand in DoorDash debt? like
I said, I think Dave Ramsey himself responded to this being like, what? I'll have to find it. But I think that, you know, there are people who can responsibly use credit to leverage their financial situations. They pay on time. They don't get into debt. They use it effectively.
Right.
But for most Americans, it's like, as if they are getting additional money each month, which they are not. They still owe the same amount of money. In fact, they probably owe more money because they're overspending. And I think I've heard it said about Klarna, especially because Klarna, if I'm saying it correctly, I saw it initially with like clothing stores,
I hope they close.
Yeah, I saw that. Clothing stores.
You would see it was like, oh, you could buy this dress for $100 or you could make 4 $25 payments. And people would be like, oh, well, that means that I still have $75 extra this month.
Yep.
No, you don't have that money. You bought the thing. You now owe that money.
Yep. I used to be financially illiterate. It was actually this guy that helped me get out of my debt. So shout out to him. His method does work. But also like this is sort of creating this cycle where you get a lot of like young people who think it's the government's role to provide for them and give them funds. And so you got all these people angry because they can't afford rent. Well, yeah, I mean, you're spending $20 on avocado and toast every day at Starbucks. You have no comprehension on how to like properly use your money. And some people honestly need to be comfortable just eating instant ramen noodles instead of ordering DoorDash.
My tax guy, the person that fixed my credit is my wife, so shout out to her. It was mostly like once I learned that the credit card stuff was bad, that was easy to stop. But then I had like 50 things in collection that were like cell phone bills, and like it wasn't even a lot of money. It was just that I had no idea. I was completely illiterate about it.
Yeah.
And like this is going to be very bad. And what makes it even worse is they advertise it as a 0% loan.
Oh,
because they know you're going to be late. So they say it's a 0% loan, and they're fine with the 30% of people who are going to forget about it or not pay it. And that's when they make their money. So like it is extremely predatory. It's like I did it all. When I was in college, I took a payday loan. I took a title loan on my car. Like it was, I was, because when you're that deep, you borrow against the loan that you have, you create a new loan and you borrowed against that and you borrow against that. And like, I don't know that I would have done DoorDash, but I guarantee you people will. I guarantee people like, wow, I get paid on Friday. This is who they're relying on. I get paid on Friday. I used to call it, no, because this isn't the correct term. But you get in this, we used to make fun of people and call them hood rich. I would say I'm hood rich because we'd spend our whole paycheck on the first day that we got paid kind of thing. But like, that may be racist. I don't know.
It ain't racist. I don't go food shopping on the first of the month for a reason.
That's true. I worked at Walmart and we knew which days to not work. It was like the first, and then also like the 5th or the 13th or something. But anyway, like I used to live that way too. And what happened is I get paid, and I used to get paid once a month. So by the time I got paid, it would be like $1,600 after taxes. I already owed $500 to this, that, this, so and so. And like you create this. So what's going to happen is people are going to say, I get paid on Friday, so I'll just order DoorDash today. Big deal. I'll just pay for it. I don't have the money in my account today. And then they already didn't have the money. And then like Hannah Claire said, no, you don't have 75 extra dollars. You're $25 in the hole now when you get paid on Friday. And like, it's so bad. I hate it.
I feel like we should just make it a rule that like you have to pay for cash for everything until you're like 30. I mean, that's obviously unrealistic, but if you grew up like, I mean, that's, I would get my allowance, or like if I like babysat or whatever, I get paid in cash. And so I remember that feeling of like, you physically have to hand someone like $21.73 for what you're buying. Like you remember it. I think that the fact that money is virtual and not real is hurting us as a society, and especially for young people. And again, I am particularly against student loan debt, so I always use that as the example. But if you're 18 and they're like, to get ahead in life or to start your life, you need to sign up for $100,000 of debt or $50,000 of debt you can never go bankrupt on, you're starting behind. How does that affect how you make financial decisions for the rest of your life?
You never can budget.
Right. You can never budget. You always owe someone until you become numb to this. Everything seems just like, well, I have to deal with this later anyway, so I'm just going to get through this week and we'll see. And that's not the mentality that I think people need to be in when approaching their finances.
Yeah, very bad. Let's go. This is very concerning. It plays into what did people call it? Like there was this video of this woman who made a lot of good points until she admitted she clearly has TDS. But she kind of nails it.
So you can now finance a private taxi for your burrito because Klarna, a BNPL company, is teaming up with DoorDash. BNPL, buy now, pay later. You can pay for things in interest-free installments if you pay on time instead of paying all at once. And so it's like okay to finance things. The American consumer does live on credit, but the Klarna assumption is that people will miss payments and they make money from those late fees and other behind-the-scenes charges that happen. So Klarna's revenue actually increased 24% last year at the same time that a lot of Americans were starting to have credit problems. So that's kind of the BNPL aspect of this. There's also the impulse control aspect of this. We have a gambling economy. We have meme coins, sports betting. We love a good vice in the United States. And we can do it completely frictionless. Like we don't even have to put on pants. Just app it to you and then worry about everything else later. And so the entire attention economy is really about hooking people, making them addicted, and then monetizing that in small increments. None of this is new, but we live in a country of contradiction. So there's a lot of moralizing about the lottery or sports betting, but we monetize them so fully, right? Like we're always like, that's really bad and people shouldn't be doing that. And then we have companies that enable that to happen. We're at a really interesting point with all of this because Kash Patel is monetizing the FBI.
Yeah, okay, we'll stop there.
Well, Angela, that's what's crazy is people will like, oh, let me find some good points and just sprinkle that there just so I can segue this into my TDS or whatever.
That's Trump's weave. That's the weave.